All right, guys, here we go with the 17th? Yeah, shave number 17 in Austere August. And here we go. The Nacet blade we will put inside the Piccolo open comb from Fatip. And we will be brushing with the Semogue Owners Club in the Taj handle, a boar brush. And the soap we'll be using is Vetiver from Candre. I have got some interesting math to tell you about once we start making our lather, or whenever I feel like there's a pause, we can address that for sure. I'm going to get this brush back in the water. He's soaked for a little while, so he's definitely gotten his water absorb into those bristles. Boar brushes do that. They, unlike synthetics and badgers, boars actually receive water into the bristles. That's what turns them from the brooms when they're dry to soft, comfy things when they're wet. And I did get a nice pre-wash because I did a test lather with Santa Paula from Chiseled Face and my new knot from Umo brush. This is the Manchuria from them, SHD. Tips weren't super soft, but it was just the first time. I hope they do get softer, but it's a decent knot even if they don't. I'm happy with the backbone though, and that's important. And that's in a separate video, which you can find on my channel, adjacent, chronologically speaking, to this one, most likely. All right, so we have a nicely washed face, and let us put the, show you the uses on the Nacet. We have 18, so 310 plus 8, 318, so today is 319, almost to a mini landmark with this Nacet blade. Now the blade has been sitting around in this razor with the razor slightly unscrewed so that air could flow. There's the 3 dots there, kind of at the top near the middle though, and it's the, you can see the Nacet wording now on the top. And so we are good. We'll just reassemble. This does make me have to realign the blade every time, or at least check, but I'm willing to do that because it helps you to know that I'm not cheating and using different blades. All right. So the blade is in there. Let me get my face wet. This is a nightly shave. Yesterday, the previous shave to this one was not. It was this morning actually, but I need to shave tonight so that I can get back in the right rhythm because tomorrow I start my new job. Yay! All right, now we are going to do the same load as I did this morning, 12 swirls in the soap. That did work out to a very nice amount of lather, the previous shave, and so let's see if we're going to be able to reproduce the results. That's important because I need to be able to tell you guys that. It doesn't really help too much if I do it once and then it's different every time after that. As usual, shaking most of the water out. Okay, 12 swirls. 12. All right. It's actually kind of hard to stop because you just kind of get going. And wipe off the soap from the threads here. Keep those clean and free of soap buildup. And we can start whipping up the lather. As usual, it's light and airy and bubbly at first. Do not use that lather. Keep going, keep mixing. That's a rule for Williams mug soap as well. It does air up just like this. People use it and then they say it sucks. Well, because you stop too soon. Look at that. I mean, already with just 12 swirls, this is what we're getting. So here is what I figured out. Sterling comes in a 5.8 ounce container. Candre comes in a 200 gram container. When you do the conversion, sterling obviously is less than the 200 grams. I think it's 160, 150, somewhere around there. It's not as important, but I plugged in the sterling into a spreadsheet. I already had that done when I did some usage tests with sterling previously. And then I figured out that I was using 0.4 grams of sterling per shave. That, when you compute that with 5.8 ounces of product, using the right conversions and stuff, then you get 13 point something, like 13 and a half, roughly, shaves. Months of shaves. So over a year of use out of one sterling tub with my usage stats. And that's able to use a bowl, and that helps you to conserve soap. Most people will use up that tub in 3 times as fast of a time, at least face latherers. Now the MdC, when I did the math, right now, roughly, I am using up MdC at 0.5 grams per use. Even with the larger quantity of 200 grams, that still puts me at a little over 13 months of shaves with the Martin de Candre. Now that's definitely not as long as I thought it might go, but that is a pretty long time. And even at that amount of time, that is, if you account for $70 for a tub of that shave soap, that is going to give you $5 per month of shaves. And so if you like that soap, then I say don't hesitate to spend the money on it, because it's just $5 a month by the time you measure out how many shaves it's going to give you. Now that's good, you might say. Well, it is. Well, if it turns out after my math and measurements are done after this month, if it turns out that it's actually 0.4 instead of 0.5, then that switches it to a little bit more than 16 months of uses. So that makes it even better. That makes it about $4 a month, roughly. And so either way, it's still pretty good. $5 a month is still probably cheaper than canned goo. Maybe, I don't know how long a can lasts, people. But the bad part is when you start comparing it to its peers, or really good soaps. Sterling performs much better, has a much bigger variety of scents to choose from, and costs $13 per tub instead of $70 to get it. Okay, let's add a little bit more for shipping, you know, because we're adding shipping with the MdC as well. But still, you're looking at $15, $16 for 13 months of shaves versus $70 for 13 months of shaves, roughly speaking. And so it's much cheaper to go with something like sterling. And so longevity was really the advantage that I was thinking MdC was going to have over some of the other soaps. If you've been watching me this month, you'll know that. Let me get my face wet. And we'll start lathering up for the first pass. So one of the pros about this soap was going to be that it lasts a long time. And it does, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to last any longer than a full tub of sterling. And a face latherer that kind of overloads is going to use it up even faster than that. So it's not a benefit in terms of the long term, at least not any more than, most other soaps. And so I think it fails in many areas when you consider that. The performance is definitely not up to par with the top tier. It's not even up to par with many of the next tier down soaps. The scents are kind of limited, but I mean, again, that's a subjective thing. And so if you have fallen in love with an MdC scent, then hey, that could be just enough reason for you to buy it. It really could. So I'm definitely not putting it down in your eyes in that regard. So performance is, you know, kind of low. Longevity is standard. So therefore the value then is low when compared to other soaps. One plus it does have for it, I believe somebody once told me during this month, was that it uses essential oils to make the scents, and so that's a positive in some people's eyes, and that of course is still in contention. It's still on the list of being a good positive for the soap. But the main one that I was hoping in terms of longevity, I was hoping it was going to last 2 years, maybe even longer. It doesn't seem like it, but you know, we do have more data points to put in to this whole thing. I'm not saying all this conclusively, just based on maybe about a week of shaves so far. Earlier, I did 4 passes because it was a shave that was done on 1.5 day of growth. This one is on maybe 3/4 of a day of growth. I'm actually kind of surprised that I'm hearing very much hair right now, you know, in terms of the audio, but I guess it was there. Doing a little, you know, touch-ups of the guilty area that gives me so many problems. And pause for the rinse. So it looks like I am going to be happy that I have that this month I will be answering the question of how long will MdC last you. But it looks like I'm also a little bit disappointed that it doesn't seem like it's going to last as long as I was hoping. It's a decent soap. It'll give you decent shaves. This month will give me some nice usage, some good usage on the boar brush that I'm using. That's good. It's getting softer and softer. More tips are splitting. Like I said yesterday, in the previous shave, I found one brush tip that has 5 splits on it. Pretty cool. I don't know how many of them are going to be that advanced, but I know I have at least one. Alright, let's pause you for the rinse. Now the lather, I believe, is pretty much just right. I actually used 3 teaspoons of water today. I think I ended up loading more on the brush. I think the previous shave, I remember seeing a little bit more standing water on the soap than from other previous shaves. And so, of course, that will keep the soap surface softer. And, of course, it didn't have as much time to dry out since I shaved within, sooner than the usual 24 hours. And so I have gathered up quite a bit of soap. Three more passes here are in the bowl. So definitely some variation happening, which is fine. We will be, part of this is figuring out and learning that You know, can we expect consistent results, or do we need to keep flexible? Now, I'm experiencing a little tenderness in my face, probably because I'm shaving earlier than usual. And so I decided to, and because I did use that other brush right before this shave, and it wasn't luxury tips. It had a little bit of a light scrub or massage action to it. And so I decided just to kind of do a with the grain as the third pass. I'm always keeping a very light touch, but I just kind of kept it with the grain. All right. Not even going to touch up that area very much. I don't want to incite any issues. Well, the Nacet has done another shave. And due to the extra work that my face has received today, it might be very welcoming of the Soap Commander Balm. This is the Integrity, which is unscented, and it is menthol-free. I have one called Drive, and I think it's Lather and Vetiver. It was a limited run from Soap Commander, but it has menthol. During these summer months, I may want to fish that guy out and use him. See if I favor it more in these months. All right, well, very good. I'm going to clean up the gear. I just dropped it on a towel. You can see how the bloom is, if it's changing over time. I believe it's getting thicker on the ends. More of the bristles are moving towards some of these outliers that have been here for a while. So I think that's pretty neat. When I travel with it and I have to put it inside of a tube, then when I take it out, when I arrive, then of course it doesn't have this bloom anymore. It's very limited, but if you like the bloom, don't worry. When you wet it prior to the shave, and then when you start using it, it will just open up like normal and be just fine. So no worries there. Excellent. So that's 319 for the Nacet. Face feels good, a little tender, probably because of all the work today. The quickness of the shave, my skin hasn't fully bounced back probably from the morning shave, combined with extra brush work on a brush that wasn't super soft even before this very shave. So that's all right. That's all right. I'm sure it will be fine. And so now yesterday was a 12 swirl, 2 teaspoons of water, and I got 5 passes of lather. Now today I had to do 3 teaspoons of water, because it picked up more soap apparently, and I ended up with a few more passes of lather. No big deal, but you know, if we can kind of add or subtract as we go and just kind of record, then we'll be able to say maybe a range, like go with between 11 and 13 swirls or something. That might be the optimal load, you know, something like that. All right. As I did yesterday, I've taken the razor, opened it up a little bit, loosened it up so that there's a little bit of airflow there so that it can dry. And of course I have run some water through it to rinse out any soap scum. That's an advantage of using such wet lathers like I do. Soap scum just isn't a problem. It doesn't get left generally on the razor. Just a simple rinse and wipe away is all it takes to keep things clean. And I'm gonna give it a hold. I like to hold the end here so that nothing untwists and I lose control of the blade or anything like that. And give it a shake. Maybe get a drop or two out that way. And then I don't want to put that in the bathroom closet because I don't want the moisture to be around it. And so that and the brush I like to take to, I don't want to put the brush especially in an enclosed area. I want to take it to my office where I have plenty of room for it to exist and dry out between uses. All right, folks, we are good. Feeling good in terms of irritation. The The tenderness is still very lightly there, but it is disappearing and fading easily. And I did, end up getting a nice close shave, so I'm happy with that. So I sure hope there's been something in this video to help you guys out. I know that I am impressed with the variation that can come. You leave a little bit of water in the soap, and so then the next time you use it, and if you compound it like I just did with using it before it has a chance to really dry out or integrate in other parts of the soap, you're going to gather up more soap. And that's why I ended up needing an extra teaspoon of water and having an extra couple layers, couple lather passes left over. So, you know, but as we've seen, even at the MdC prices, the soap is pretty cheap. At sterling prices, it's ridiculously cheap. But that is something good to know. That is something I've learned in this. Even if I don't improve over the 0.5 grams of use with the MdC, I know that it's just $5 a month, a little bit more than $1 a week, quarter a shave, 20 cents, you know, less than 20 cents a shave is what you're using. And so if you do load a little bit more or less or whatever, then you're talking pennies. You're really talking pennies per day. I mean, sure, it's going to add up, but you know, you can, now you know about your MdC and how fast it might be used up. Of course, you may want to do your own testing and figure out how many grams you use up per shave, because your amount may differ from mine, especially if you're a face latherer. You may end up using 3 times as much as I do. Well, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys take care. Have a good night.